Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, the Balanci Apostles to the Met. This is Anna Allah coming at you another video. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 17. So let's get right to it. It says, "For it is better, if the will of the Most High be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing." Look at the word suffer.
Strong's G 3958. Pascho.
Pascho. To be affected or have been affected. To feel, have a sensible experience, to undergo. In a good sense, to be well off. In good case, in a bad sense, to suffer sadly. Be in a bad plight of a sick person. Doesn't give you much there. But what I'm going to do, go to the word suffer. Go to Google. See what they can tell me. Here you go. Suffer. It's an AI overview. The word suffer means to endure pain, hardship, or loss, either physical or emotional. It can be used to mean to experience a negative change or consequence. In essence, it describes a state of distress or unpleasantness. So that's simple as that. That's self-explanatory. So the word suffer means to endure hardship or loss. Okay? To be in a state of distress or unpleasantness. So it's better if you suffer or you endure hardship or loss or in a position of distress for well-doing than for evil-doing. So it's better if you do suffer, if you are in a position of distress, if you are in a position where you're suffering or loss, it's better if you suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. Let's give you an example. 2 Timothy 3:12. Yea, and all that will live godly in Yahushua, in the anointed Yahushua, shall suffer persecution. So, how do you suffer for well-doing? A person suffers for well-doing when they're suffering for the sake of righteousness. They're doing acts of righteousness, though they may suffer for it, though they're suffering because it's a test of their faith. But there's times when you do good for people and you suffer for it, you know? An example of that can be, let's say, it's a brother that's in a financial rut, a financial hole, and he needs some help. And you choose to help him. You help that brother out financially. That may result in you having a lack of finances. Now you're in a state of suffering. You're in a state of enduring hardship now. You're in a state of loss. But you're suffering for well-doing. You did an act of righteousness. You did something that's brotherly to help another brother out. Though it may have put you in a hard position. Now guess what? That's a test of your faith. That's a test of your faith. And to see if you're going to have faith that the Most High is going to now reward you. Now you're in a state of distress. You're in a state of hardship for engaging in the act of righteousness. Now, do you have the faith that the Most High is going to now help you? You understand? That's just one example. So it says, yea, and all that will live godly in Yahushua shall suffer persecution. So if you live godly in Yahushua, you're going to suffer persecution, man. You're going to go through different things that's going to be a test of your faith. Why is that? Because the Most High wants to purge us. Look at that word purge. This is the meaning of the word purge. Rid someone or something of an unwanted quality, condition, or feeling. So the Most High wants to purge us of unwanted qualities, condition, or feeling. So any character flaw that we may have that may prevent us from being fully devoted to this truth and having faith, any flaw it is that we may have, the Most High wants to rid us of that, So let's say you help, let's go back to that same example. Let's say you help a brother out that's in need and financially, and now you're in a financial hole. That's a test of your faith. The Most High did that because the Most High may want to rid you of the desire of materialistic possessions. He may say, you know what, I'm going to have this brother be in a financial hole, and then I'm going to have this brother help him. Now the brother that helps him, you might make a lot of money. You might used to being able to buy what you want. And you went and helped the brother out. Now you in a financial hole. He's not in a financial hole. Now you are, because you helped him. You may be used to having money. You may be used to being able to buy whatever it is that you want. Now you're in a position where you can't buy what you want now. So the Most High is doing that because Most High may be doing that because He want to put you in a position where He wants to show you, don't worry about materialistic possessions. It's faith. You don't got it right now because you helped the brother. Have faith, and I'm gonna give it back to you. And then when you get it back, you know what you're gonna say to yourself? How about Shemel Shah? Man, I ain't even worried about money no more. I'm gonna help this brother. I'm gonna get it right back. And then the Most High will bless you. So the Most High may want to remove that because because if that desire of materialist possessions is within you, maybe if a situation may occur in the future where that could be your downfall. Maybe you're not coming to camp because you want to go. Maybe you're not coming to camp because you want to go and splurge and spend your money and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Just using that as an example. Let's go back. 1 Peter 2:20. For what glory is it if when ye are buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently? Where that buffeted?
Strong's G 2852. Calafizo.
To strike with the fist. Give one a blow with the fist, to maltreat, treat with violence and contumely. See if you can get another example of buffeted. Hold on. So this how. It says, what does the Bible mean by buffet? Buffet. In the Bible, buffet means to beat or strike with the fist. It is used both literally to describe physical violence, like the treatment of Yahushua, says Jesus there, and figuratively to describe internal struggles or self-discipline. It says literal meaning. Buffet can refer to physical violence. I've read that part already. Figurative meaning. Well, it's still giving it the same example, but buffeted for your faults. In other words, see if I have one more definition. Hold on 1 second. See, lashed, pounded, licked, whipped, battered. In other words, punished. Or beaten, if you will. For what glory is it if when you be buffeted or beaten for your faults, you shall take it patiently? So what glory is it if you commit a fault or wrongdoing and you're beaten or you deal with a punishment? There's no glory in that. Why would you glory in doing wrong and being punished for your wrongdoing? It's no glory in that because you did wrong. There's no glory in being punished for what you did wrong. But if when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently, this is acceptable with the Most High. So if you do well and you suffer for it, that's something that's acceptable with the Most High. So what's an example of but if when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently? What's an example of that? Just enduring hardship for what you're doing is right, because in this truth, our faith is going to be tested. We're going to do what's right, but there's going to be things that's going to come up against us. Something may happen with your job. Something may happen with your family. Something may happen with your woman. Something may happen when you're just out there in the world. You're doing well. You're living righteously. And you're going through some form of suffering, but you're taking it patiently. You're enduring it. You're enduring it, and it's going to lead to greater virtue within you. To the people, to the onlookers, it may appear as if whatever you're going through is deserving. But really, deserving it as in for some wrongdoing you may have done, that's what they're going to perceive. But you're suffering for doing well. You're taking it patiently. To those on the outside, and they may feel like, well, what he's going through it because something that he may have done. Look at it, he did that. That's why he's going through that right now. You may be out there on the train somewhere, and somebody started arguing with you out of nowhere. Somebody might look and think, well, he must have did something. They gonna look at you and think that, probably. But you're really just doing that because you're going through something patient. You're going through something because you're going through that for righteousness' sake, because you're living righteously. But that's just Satan that's on that person that's trying to tempt you. So that's temptation that's coming your way. But you got to endure that. That's acceptable with the Most High. A person that's doing acts of righteousness, though you may suffer hardship because of it, that's acceptable in the eyes of the Most High. Because enduring those hardships for suffering righteously is going to build virtue, goodness, faith within you. Because you know that you're not doing anything wrong. You know that's a sign that the Most High dealing with you. Going through the different things that you're going through. You know? And just look at your life. Just look at the things that, you know, you've done good things. You've done righteous things. And you may have endured some type of hardship for it. You're not really stressing it too much. Because you know that's the Most High testing you. You know? Real fast. Hebrews 12:7. If ye endure chastening, hardships, the Most High dealeth with you as sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? So if you endure some type of chastening, look at the word chastening.
Strong's G 3809. Paideia.
Paideia. The whole training and education of children, which relates to the cultivation of mind and morals, and employs for this purpose now commands and admonitions, now reproof and punishment. It also includes the training and care of the body. So discipline. So you go chastening or discipline. The Most High deliver you as sons. But that's what fathers do to their sons. Don't they discipline them? For what sin is he whom the Father chasteneth not? So what kind of son are you if your father don't chasten you? If your father doesn't correct you? If your father doesn't bring any kind of hardship your way? I mean, is that really a father that loves their son, that let them do whatever they want? So sometimes you're going to go through certain things. But that shows the Most High dealing with us. Look at the word dealeth.
Strong's G 4374. Prospero.
Prospero. To bring to behave oneself towards one, deal with one. So he deals with you as sons. And the word dealeth means to bring to or lead to, or behave oneself towards one. So he's behaving towards you as if you're his son. He deals with you as son. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if he be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, so all are partakers of some form of chastisement, then you are bastards and not sons. So if you're not going through nothing, you're a bastard. What's a bastard? A child without a father. So we're going to go through certain things that shows the Most High is dealing with us. And you rather those things that we go through, those hardships, those sufferings, being buffeted, you rather that be for your acts of well-doing as opposed to for your actions of ill-doing. Because if it's for something of ill-doing, then you're going to be ashamed. I did something wrong, so I'm going through this. You rather deal with you rather deal with the hardships that come your way for your well-doing, because you know, because you live in righteously in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, what you're going through isn't because of something that you did wrong, rather it's something that you did right. Therefore, it's being used to create faith and virtue within you, to bring you closer to Yahweh Shem Yahshua, to increase your faith. Matthew 5:10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. See that? Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you for my sake. So ultimately, all the things we're going through, that we may go through, is for the sake of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. The person that may be acting ill towards you, they don't know they're acting ill towards you because you believe in Yahweh Shem Yahshua. They don't know that they're acting ill towards you because of your faith. They may just feel like they doing it for whatever reason, but the underlying reason is because a spirit is on them that's making them do that. And those spirits that's on them is trying to make you get out of character. They're trying to tempt you to make you get out of character, to make you act in a manner in which you should not. Now that's easier said than done. Sometimes you might fail a test. It's not impossible. You might get into a big argument or physical altercation. Depending upon the circumstance. Now, obviously, nobody's supposed to. You ain't supposed to let nobody put hands on you, of course. But when those situations arise, keep these things in mind. Even if an argument do start, I'm like, you know what? Let me not take it no further than that. That's just Satan right there. I'm suffering for righteousness' sake. And the Most High judge that person. Rejoice and be glad. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. So the prophets before us suffer for righteousness' sake. You understand what I'm saying? The discipline, you don't want to eat this kind of food. Or the scriptures say you're not supposed to eat pork. You're dealing with that from your family. You got a problem with that. Or the Sabbath day, you're not supposed to have sex, for example. And your woman may want to have sex with you. And it's Sabbath. That becomes a big thing. That's an example of suffering for righteousness' sake. You're committing the acts, the righteous acts that we're committed to do. And you're suffering for it. You're not doing nothing wrong. But that may happen. Let's say the Passover come up and you call out of work. And your boss want to lay you off or fire you. Well, guess what? That's the suffering you got to go through. That's suffering for righteousness' sake. You understand what I'm saying? These are just some examples. And there's many other examples that I can give. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, some woman want to deal with you and you find out she got a man. Now, I ain't dealing with you, because that's adultery. But guess what? She mad you don't want to deal with her. So she go and tell her man you try to talk to her, even though you really ain't try to talk to her. She mad that you didn't want to. And now there's a physical altercation waiting for you down the block when you go to the store. If you run into that dude. I'm just using that as an example. So with that, I'm going to close. I'm saying, praise you. How about you, Shah? The Blind the Apostle GMS. This video went on longer than I intended, but, hopefully you brothers got the message. Shalom.